Hello, welcome to Precontation Points Video Snark. I read bad books so that you don't have to. I'm continuing my read-through of Breach by KI Lynn. Not the first video, go check out the others, links are posted below. Please be warned that this review contains adult material. I try my best to use metaphors and be vague, but sometimes you have to talk about a rooster. Chapter 6. Delilah finishes up her work for the day and leaves without saying goodbye. However, Nathan somehow manages to get back to their apartment building at the same time as her, which is confusing, but whatever. They ride the elevator up together, and only when they're actually alone does he ask if she was jealous. I'm guessing over Kelly, but who even knows anymore? I don't want them, and I don't want you either. I'm getting so many mixed emotions from this guy. We get it. The guy is emotionally damaged and more than a little deranged. I don't care how good his rooster is and how good he is in bed. None of that should matter if the man attached to the rooster is this emotionally stunted. Not even a single paragraph break later, and he takes it back. I'm so done with this guy. He's playing more games than a GameStop. Part of me gets that he's at war with how much he wants Delilah and how much he wants to keep his job. But how hard is it to not sleep with somebody? Just don't do it! To be honest, somebody who lets their base urges 100% control them like that is probably not going to be good at, well, anything really. I know Delilah keeps saying he's good at being a lawyer, but honestly, how long do you really think that mask will stay in place, especially if he has to be around somebody that he literally cannot control himself around? I think that the real question we should be asking are, where was Nathan working before this and why did he leave? I know that the book will probably never even consider these questions, but his behavior is sending up so many red flags, and I have to wonder if he has a history of this behavior. However, Delilah is also having a difficult time telling Nathan to stay away from her. My tongue stuck out, lapping against his lips. I know that the tongue is supposed to be sexy and everything, but the only thing that I can think of is like a dog lapping at his face. This line is the exact opposite of sexy to the point where it's becoming physically painful for me to read this. Anyway, they start heavy petting in the elevator, get off on her floor, and go into her apartment. Clothes come off, dirty talk is said, and things happen. You know what I'm talking about. The stuff I can't talk about on YouTube. Before they actually get down to the act itself, he asks if she's ever done backdoor stuff, somehow without actually saying the word once, even in the narration. I understand what he's talking about through context because, he's not talking about ears or nostrils. I can't say the word because I'm on YouTube, but the author literally just said kitty and rooster and a 5-letter W word and a 4-letter S word over and over, but a 3-letter A word is where the author is drawing the line. And also, thanks to the poorly written narration in regards to that word, I was really confused and worried when the insertion finally happened, if only because I thought that he just went in dry. But don't worry because he didn't actually use the back door. Tongue lashing at my skin. Again, this is the exact opposite of sexy. This brings to mind some freakish long-tongued monster like the Pokemon Lickitung. Stop it! Stop writing like this! After they finish, Delilah complains that she's going to be sore in the morning and that she wants him to buy her Starbucks. He instead tells her that as payment, he'll tell the ladies in the office that he's gay. However, the term payment randomly offends Delilah, which she seems to think makes her sound like a paid woman, despite the fact that she's the one who brought up payment in the first place. Chapter 7. A day or two passes, and it's time for that night out Caroline had arranged. Delilah goes home a bit earlier than usual to get ready. She contemplates putting on tights, but decides against it simply because he wouldn't like it, which... Whoa there, babe. We're now planning our wardrobe based solely around a guy who has made you feel good exactly 3 times now. Delilah goes to the bar where Caroline is with her boyfriend Ian. Nathan then randomly shows up and Ian acts like he knows Nathan quite well. Ian says that Nathan used to come by the bar a lot but hasn't been by recently. How they know one another is never explained. Is Ian another lawyer? Does he work for a different law firm? Is that where Nathan used to work? Who knows? Not the narration, that's for sure. It doesn't even seem to care that it's raising all these questions for the readers and providing 0 answers. Anyway, Delilah gets randomly upset at the thought that Nathan is actually a man 5-letter W word. Yes, Delilah directly asks Nathan if this is who he is. He says that it was basically some zero strings fun and those women meant nothing to him, which, not really answering her question and only kind of just fading into the idea that that's exactly what he is. He then puts his hand on top of her knee. Delilah then says that she wants another drink, but Nathan kind of refuses to let her out of the booth. He asks if she's sure that it's a good idea, but she says, and I literally quote, "Are you my father?" Now, I have to tell you something. When I was writing up my notes for the first video of this book, when I got to the scene where Delilah was in the bar, I had this really long rant about how she seemed like an alcoholic. I later removed it when I was editing the video. But the further I get into this book, the more I regret taking it out. I can't deny that Delilah seems more and more like a drunk. She's not going out every night, but her behavior in regards to alcohol is setting up some major red flags. Following this, Delilah manages to get away from Nathan at the table and goes to the bar to get another drink. While she's waiting, a man comes up and tries to ask if she needs help getting the bartender's attention, but she tells the guy to get lost. Then, after she gets her drink, she goes to the dance floor with Caroline, but as she's dancing, some guy comes up behind her and starts grinding on her. The narration itself acknowledges that Delilah is quite drunk, and this is pretty much the only reason why she's even allowing this behavior. And then, because you knew it was coming, Nathan comes over and tells the random guy where he can stick it. The drunk guy can sense that he's encroaching on another man's territory and quickly leaves. Just as Nathan is reassuring Delilah that she's his, and somebody named Andrew shows up and tells Nathan that he needs to leave too. It took me a minute to realize that this is Drew, her boyfriend. I was going to be angry over the editing in this, but I guess Drew is a lesser-known nickname of Andrew. I guess. So her ex showed up and starts ordering Nathan around. Delilah tells Nathan to let go, and then she rounds on her ex. She tells him that Nathan had saved her from a creep and that he'd been lecturing her about not letting her guard down at the bar. Caroline comes over, but Delilah says that it's just a misunderstanding. Caroline, who is this book's designated friend, decides to invite Drew to join them for drinks. The three of them go to the table where Delilah ends up sitting in between both of the men, and she feels so awkward, as I think anybody would. Drew asks who Nathan is, which, again, kind of feel like the narration forgot to tell us that this is a bunch of lawyers who are hanging out together but who work for different law firms. Kind of important thing for you to leave out. A waitress comes by and gives Delilah another drink, which Drew promptly takes from her. Like, at this point, I'm pretty sure anybody with eyes can see that she's wasted. Delilah protests over this and says that she needs it, going so far as to say that she literally can't sleep without getting drunk. I have so many regrets over taking that rant out. The girl is a drunk, and it's honestly making me question how she's even able to function if she's that reliant on alcohol. I can't drink every night, so let me sleep tonight. At least she's going out of her way to say that she's not drinking every single night just to sleep. But geez, girl, go see a doctor before you self-medicate like that. She goes on for a while and turns into a depressive drunk. Andrew says that he's going to take her home, but Nathan says that he'll take her. Delilah blurts out that Nathan lives in the same building as her, more out of anger than anything. However, this just prompts another pissing match between Andrew and Nathan. He eventually asks if Delilah is okay with Nathan taking her home, which at least he's asking her what she wants to do rather than to just barge in and start making demands of your ex-girlfriend. Before Delilah leaves, Andrew tells her that she should call him if she needs anything. Nathan and Delilah leave. In his car, she can tell that he's ready to explode. And this chapter was so physically painful to get through. I can't even. I don't drink, but it's stuff like this that is the reason why people drink. Chapter 8. We pull up to our building and I stumbled out of the car. My body lit up at his closeness, and then I felt his hands on me, hoisting me up in the air and over his shoulder. Calm down the Oonga Boonga. Not only does he do this, but he refuses to listen to her pleas to put her down on the ground. Which, considering that this arrangement started with Nathan sexually assaulting Delilah and then going around and thinking for an entire week that he'd her, yeah, not good. He carries her up to his apartment where he finally puts her down and demands to know who Andrew is to her. She says that he's her ex-boyfriend. Nathan then punches a hole through the wall. As he does so, she notices that there's an alarming number of other holes. It's 7, but I think literally even one hole is too many holes punched in the wall. Do people actually find men like this desirable? Why? That's literally just a step away from punching you. That's not sexy. You can't fix him. Girl, run. You do this to me every time. You make me so angry. This is classic abuser behavior. They will literally never take accountability for their own actions and instead only just blame you for their out of control feelings. As if this guy wasn't enough of a walking red flag, now we're apparently going to go down the checklist of abusive manipulative behaviors too. He goes on this really creepy rant about how he finds it pathetic how much he wants her, yet at the same time he gets angry whenever literally anybody else looks at her. Delilah, however, is apparently still drunk. She turns the entire thing into a sob story about how Drew broke up with her, which I get that it sucks to be broken up with, but come on girl, time and place. However, much in line with what he's been saying this chapter, Nathan's reaction towards Delilah's self-put-downs over being dumped by Drew are violent and over the top. I get hyping somebody up after they say negative things about themselves, but this was... let's just say that literally anything Nathan says after he punched the wall is sending up major red flags, and it's only getting worse and worse the longer the scene goes on. Because I can't love you. I can't allow myself to pursue you, Lila. A beautiful woman like you shouldn't waste your time on me. This is honestly the smartest thing Nathan has said this entire book. Will it amount to anything? No, because let's be real here, they're going to continue to be together until somebody gets hurt, even knowing that this is stupid and Nathan is a danger to society. Delilah finally asks if what she wants matters in any way. He continues to insist that she doesn't want him, and then in the same breath he prevents her from leaving. I know that she's still pretty drunk, but if she's able to have a long conversation like this, then it's probably okay to let her go down a couple of floors and sleep in her own bed. Nathan wants her, but he doesn't want her. The guy is a confusing mess, and he should probably sort out his own business before he starts getting up in anybody else's business. He then takes her to the bedroom where he helps her take off some of her clothes so that she can sleep. She wakes up the next morning and the two of them go at it. I apologize in advance for this, but tell me, you like my rooster always pumping into you? No. No? No, I love it. The fresh hell is this? Who thinks that this is sexy? This is so cringe-inducing that it's becoming physically painful. They finish and fall asleep. Delilah wakes up later, uses the restroom, and comes back to the bathroom. When she gets back, she realizes that Nathan is uncovered fully for the first time. She appreciates his body for a brief second before she notices that he's covered in some pretty violent-looking scars. She literally bursts into tears at the sight of him, and I get that this is a little upsetting, but I'm honestly not sure if tears are exactly warranted at the sight of some scars. Like, I've been talking a lot about how Nathan is having a lot of inappropriate emotional responses to things, but can we just talk about how it's now apparently Delilah's turn? Nathan wakes up but refuses to talk about his scars when she asks him. He then returns to his usual "you shouldn't want me" deal, and they fight about it, in the style of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck a la duck season, rabbit season. I'm really over this. But then they eventually go back to bed and the chapter is put out of its misery finally. Thanks for listening to my book, Snark, on YouTube. New videos are up every Monday, but stick around because I sometimes drop random videos on other days too. Just as a reminder, even if you can't financially support me, there are other ways to support me. The first is watching this video as well as all of my other videos. It's also important to like and subscribe. Finally, you can share this video with all of your friends so that they can help as well. If you're already caught up with all of my videos, you can go to Tumblr for my main book, Snarks, always free and updated every morning. And if you've already read all of my main snarks, then you can find even more snark on my Patreon. You can access it for $1 a month. Plus, you also get early access to my main Tumblr snark. Special thanks to Dawn, Phoebe, and Nikki for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Do you like my snarks so much that you want me to snark your writing? I do that too. For just $3 per chapter, I will tell you how awful that your writing is. But not to worry if you feel like you couldn't take the criticism. I also offer regular book editing as well. $3 for every 5,000 words. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions. If you want to read some of the things that I've written, you can purchase my works on Amazon. I have a slew of erotic short stories and now 2 full-length novels. I also sometimes run flash sales on my stories, and if you don't follow me on any social media, you might want to do so just so you can know when I might be offering more things for free. Links for everything will be posted below. See you next week, guys.